not what you'd call hospitable terrain, but can you imagine not only having to bore through these granite rocks by hand, but also making your bed out here, making your meals out here? Impossible. Norm, this beautiful engine you said was built in
1881.
Take me back to that time.
There were very few people in California.
Okay.
And the railroads were just coming into California. There was not any of the luxury that we have on trains today. They were just chair cars.
It's an interesting time, and I'm looking around at the landscape and trying to imagine what it would have been like for the Chinese immigrants who came over, who started work on that railroad. Paint me a picture of that.
They started in the Sacramento area. They had primarily Irishmen working on the railroad. Now, the railroad needed approximately 4,000 employees. They could only find about 600 Irishmen to work
Willing to do it.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about bringing Chinese over. There was an innate prejudice against the Chinese at that time. Crocker, who was one of the big four that established the railways, brought over a shipload of Chinese. The foreman became very impressed with the work ethic of the Chinese. And
Really?
it was cheaper for them to have the Chinese because their food was more basic. And their living situation didn't have to be quite as elaborate as the Irish expect.
What would their living environment look like?
In the flat areas, it would be tents primarily. But when they were in the mountains and they were boring the tunnels, they would actually live in the tunnels that they were working in. They were going through granite mountains, and they would work, and they would maybe be able to go 2 feet in one day.
Obviously, they don't have bulldozers, they don't
No.
have these huge, so are they just...
Pick and shovel, they would
Wow.
drill holes, and they would place dynamite in those holes and blow up, and then they would dig the rock away. In fact, they would hang Chinese in baskets over the cliffs so that they could drill
Wow.
into the cliffs to put the explosives in there.
Goodness.
And it was not a great job for life expectancy.
In my whole journey, I'm learning about Chinese cuisine and the impact that North America has had on it. Would you be able to tell me what sorts of things they ate?
I do know they brought them raw ingredients. There was the rice that they bought, and they were able to get the food that they wanted in San Francisco, where there was a very small, at that time, Chinese community. Chinatown was primarily a ghetto. People were not allowed to leave that area.
Right, so they were confined to it.
Hence, there was a whole underground in San Francisco so they could get out of the ghetto area and get what they needed.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely. It was a very harsh time.
So really, these early immigrants sacrificed a lot.
The railroads pushed these Chinese workers. They were not considered of great value.
It was really the working class, the lowest of the working class. Norm, we talked about the romance of the train and how that's really juxtaposed with the hardships of the Chinese people who were building it. But I've always been, there's just a magic to me about the train, and I'm looking at that beautiful bell up there. I have to ask, can I ring the bell?
Absolutely.
Is it possible?
We can do that very
Okay.
easily.
I'm excited, and it's just calling me there.